Hello, everybody. This is Jay with Guilty of Crime. Now, I'm not doing a normal pre record. I'm not doing a normal live today. I'm doing a pre record. No edits, no cuts, just the real deal like I do with you on a live stream. So, we have a new name for Jenn Soto's ex roommate. We're going to call her CM, and CM talk back. She has a lot to say now that she's heard the conversations with Stephan Stearns, the audio, and the statements that Jennifer Soto gave to the police officers. She sure has a lot to say. Now, I'm going to start with some text messages because that's how we started. She texted me, I texted her. I said, what do you think about this now? In the previous interviews, there were some times where people misconstrued what your thoughts were about her and how you may have felt or what got taken out of context. And we want to make it really clear how she feels. And I have 3 key points that I want to lay out to you. And I might repeat myself a couple of times and the answer might be restated a different way. But the number one thing is I want you to know that the condo, like I showed you, is the condo that was Jennifer Soto's. Now, yesterday I was incorrect with the room. The room that I showed you was Juan's room, which was Grandpa downstairs. The living room and the hat was Stephan Stearns. That was the roommate's bathroom with the rainbow shower curtain. I'm going to show you in a minute. That's not the key points, but that's part of it. The key points I wanted to point out when she heard Stephan Stearns and Jennifer Soto saying that Maddie was autistic and she couldn't, find her way home. And if she ran away, she would know what to do. Absolutely untrue. And she was very heated. And I'm going to edit out some of the words that she says because there's a lot of cuss words. So in some of the conversation, I just wanted to lay out how it started and then I'll pull up the questions for you. First, I'll show you the condo quickly. Let me pull that up and I'll just start out with the questions and how this started with CM, which is formerly known as the ex-roommate. So let me go to this just because that was the condo and that's where Juan stayed. I'm pulling up some key points on the condo and then we'll get to the important things, and that was Maddie was very not only beautiful, smart, intelligent, and very functioning. And we believe that the autism came only from parental alienation, if that was the case. This is all alleged. We're allowed to have our opinions. We have that right to speak. And we believe that the only reason, if the doctors even thought she acted that way, was because Jennifer Soto and Stephan Stearns had her tested to keep her quiet and to keep the drugs coming, folks. Okay? She did not, in the eyes of the roommate, have autism whatsoever. She had ADHD. She saw that, but they were also abusing, we believe, those medications and using that to their advantage. And these are the key points I want to point out to you. The CM is very upset. And one of the first things that she said was, yeah, she might have had ADHD, but I'm telling you right now, coming from a special needs aunt and a parent, this child did not have autism. And if you're on the spectrum in any sort of way, it will be noted as being on the spectrum because my daughter's on the spectrum. However, if they have her on paper as the autism spectrum, then that would make it very difficult for Tyler, the biological dad, to get full custody of her. All right, so I wanted to clear that up. First and foremost, we're starting with the text messages, and then I'm going to move to the questions. I'm going to show them to you and also just quickly go through the apartment and tell you what I know is verified. I showed you the apartment pictures yesterday. It wasn't verified because I hadn't talked to CM about the pictures. We're still on the phone, and on the phone, she said to me, Jennifer Soto handed her to Stephan Stearns on a silver effing platter. I'm so mad that nobody knew and that anybody could be that effing ignorant and stupid. I just cannot believe it. I cannot believe that she did that. I believe it, but I don't want to believe it, if that makes sense to you. Unbelievable is what the ex-roommate said. All right. She's so mad. She goes on to say that she hopes that they both get the death penalty. Again, this is all just coming from conversation and then questions, and we're allowed to have our opinions. Now, either way, the ex-roommate CM says she has blood on her hands, whatever way that you think about it. And I agree with her 110%. Jen, you have blood on your hands. And if you're working with the police, I'm going to talk about it later, what you could be charged with. We're going to go over that today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, I'm still going through the messages, and I wanted to clarify the parking pass. Stephan Stearns did lie and say he needed the clicker. However, you do need the clicker to go in through the back, and that's what he lied about, was saying that he needed it because he just needed to cover his time frame. What he did lie about was you don't need to go into the back because there's a line in the morning when many people were leaving for work and not coming home for work. There was no line to get in to the apartment. So if you've watched the audio or watched the video with the audio, and he says that he didn't want to wait in line, so he needed his clicker to go to back, that's a huge, big, fat lie, verified from CM. All right, now let's go to the TV and sofa. This is the picture we're looking at now. The TV and sofa were opposite when CM worked there because that's where Juan always hung out. And they also made a cat's shelf in there. So there's a cat's shelf in there in the room. That is absolutely the Jennifer Soto apartment. All right. And in this version, we call it the apartment of nightmares. I'm going to go back inside the house. The kitchen is correct. That is Juan's room. Juan is Jennifer Soto's dad and Maddie's grandpa. All right. I don't know what's going on with my phone. I want to finish these text messages. All right. So again, we're on a pre-record here, and all right. So that was a lot of the key points there, and I definitely, absolutely, 100% now know that is, in fact, Stephan Stearns' hat. That is where he used to hang his hat, and that is the bottom line of it, period. That is her house. They had some cat shelves in there going on, and yeah, that is it. That is the layout. That is her coffee maker. That is her salt and pepper. And that is Stephan Stearns' disgusting devil hat. All right, folks. And I hope that you like this video and share it so you can get some more information out there on what we think and what we're trying to do here. And just know that we want justice for Maddie. We want to make sure that we speak out. There were 3 bathrooms in the condo. They were not all shown. The one that was Jen's was the one that didn't have the rainbow curtain. The rainbow curtain was the one that CM or the ex-roommate used, and the other one is the master downstairs, which was Grandpa Juan's. Okay, so the cat shelf, there was 3 shelves, and that was for the cat. What else do I have in my text messages? All right, I think I asked about the car, which car she drove, and I also want to know, and I want the paperwork, and we want the paperwork to understand if Maddie was on the spectrum. Was she on a 504 plan at school? Did she receive an IEP? Why did Stephan Stearns say, oh, well, she wasn't really struggling in school? Well, a little bit, but when you're autistic, you have these special needs and you're in a program. So that bothers us a lot. That bothers me a lot, that Maddie would be labeled on the autistic spectrum when she was not. Nothing wrong with people with autism, but if you don't have it, don't use that as an excuse. All right. So we don't know about the third car, but we know about Jen's car. I guess it was the blue one that she drove. I'm going to have to dig that back up because right now my text messages aren't working and I don't know what the heck happened there. So it's being really weird. And yeah. All right. So, and I don't want to make you wait, especially since we're on a pre record. I just want to get this out. So let's get to it. All right. But I do know that this is her house, and I'm going to scroll through it real quick as I did yesterday, knowing that that was the grandpa's room and not Jennifer Soto. Jennifer Soto had a king size bed, which makes a little more sense since she slept in the bed with all three of them. Not that it makes a difference. However, at least they had a king size bed and there wasn't two big people that were sleeping in the bed and with a little child smashed. At least they had a king size, not to say much. There's the bathroom I'm referring to. That is the ex-roommate CM's bathroom, folks. So again, that is Jennifer Soto's house. Those are her things. That was the ex-roommate CM's bathroom. That is Jennifer Soto's bathroom. That is the bathroom that they used upstairs. There's little Maddie's handle down here. The taller ones were for the bigger people. Stephan Stearns, the devil, and Jennifer Soto, which is equally the devil by handing her daughter on a silver platter to that evil person. So this is absolutely confirmed her place. Those were the condos, excuse me, and that was it. That's all confirmed. Everything I told you about, and we now know that is the devil's hat on the wall there. So I'm going to get to the questions now that I asked, and mostly what I wanted to know was about Maddie and how she acted and how smart she was, and I wanted to dispel that autistic thing that they had going on about her and her not functioning properly. That really bothered me a lot, and it bothered me and CM, the ex-roommate, that was even put out there. So let's get to it. I'm going to get rid of this. Neither one of us are experts. Keep that in mind. Everything that we say is our opinions only, and anybody can say what they want to combat that. If you are a licensed therapist, please make a comment below and let us know what you think, your thoughts are on our opinions. We appreciate it. Now, this is coming from a place of having some background, lots of background, as a matter of fact, with people that are on the spectrum and being around Madeline Soto for a year or so. Okay, so let's get to it. CM claps back at the audio and the Jennifer Soto statements of Stephan Stearns sleeping in bed with Madeline Soto. When Jen got too anxious, she would get anxious and then hand over and say, go sleep in the other rooms together. All right. So I'm going to tell you what autism is in a textbook definition. And it's a pervasive development disorder characterized by severe deficits in social interaction and communication, by an extremely limited range of activities and interests, and often present of repetitive stereotype behaviors. A mental disorder characterized by inability to engage in normal social interactions and intense self-absorption, and usually accompanied by other symptoms such as language dysfunctions and repetitive behavior. Behavior showing an abnormal level of absorption with one's own thoughts and disregard for external realities. Now, we know there's different forms of autism and different levels of spectrum. If you're highly functioning, if you've got it a little bit, we don't think that she had it at all. And I'd like to see the paperwork for it. I bet they used that as a cover for what they were doing to her. And when I say they, I believe Jen is just as culpable. And I'm going to tell you why later today. Now, CM is not an MD of any sort. However, in regards to Maddie, knowing her for a year, while she was present, it did not apply to her. And when she says it did not apply, she's talking about being autistic. As a person with special needs family members, autism to be exact, I did not see any signs of autism nor Asperger's. She was non neurotypical, in my opinion. I never saw any signs or tendencies. Most people with autism have sensory disorders and stimulation needs as well. Example, loud noises or a way a particular type of clothing feels, food texture. The list is a mile long. Also, being part of a special needs community and knowing quite a few special needs people, children, and students. They often will possess mannerisms with overstimulated. Maddie was never like that. Hear me again, loud and clear. I want to make sure I can see myself telling you, Maddie was never like that. Maddie, I believe, and we believe, and seeing her and interacting with her for a year, see and believe she was not autistic. Okay, so that's what made her very upset when she heard that. All right. Anybody and everybody's different, but I saw mannerisms. I did not see, and I never saw any mannerisms of autism in Maddie. But I'd like to state again, I am not a psychologist, but I do know if you have a child with that diagnosis and legal custody, it would make it hard for anyone else to get custody due to them having special needs on paper. Take that what you will. This is what CM says. Also, now I wonder, did she have a 504 plan or an IEP, which I talked about earlier? All right. And again, I just asked, did Madeline Soto, Maddie, act like she had autistic or anything like that? She says she can't say for certain. She's not an MD, but what she can say, she never acted like an ADHD for sure. She can see that a lot of people have ADHD. I have family members. She has family members. To be honest, I feel like kids nowadays all have ADHD. We all have ADHD. We all have screens, everything at our fingertips. It's easy to be doing something else instead of paying attention, especially when you're at school. And then CM says, I think we should bring back good old fashioned books. Okay. So I ask her what's her opinion about Jen allowing Stearns to share a bed. She says, absolutely effing not. The question roots deep. I think she handed over on a silver platter to the devil. If your daughter needs human contact, go sleep with her as a mother. Should never be the person providing that with someone else. You should also be asking yourself, why does my daughter have need a human contact in order to go to sleep? Also, why in the F would you have him and her sleep together and not in different rooms in a 4-bedroom condo? Also, there's a couch. If she needed the whole king-size bed to herself because of her anxiety, she obviously was only thinking of herself. And we're talking about Jennifer Soto here. When you have a child, it's no longer about you. It's about protecting and teaching our children at all costs. Men wake up with a pee woody every day. That's natural. How on earth could you allow and advise your daughter to sleep with a man knowing that alone? Just that one thing, how men wake up every day. How could you hand your daughter over to that? All right. Then I appreciate you, CM. And I ask her again, how do you know about autism? And she says, firsthand and foremost, she has family that's autistic. She volunteers with special needs and she sees it firsthand. She also has done a lot of research. Now, I asked, do you know what car was Jen's? The Nissan, the Honda, or the other car? Or which car did they use back then? She said that back then, Jenn had the blue Honda Civic. That was years ago. So I'm not certain of what she possibly could be driving today. I'd imagine the car as the Nissan. So the 22 Nissan is probably Jenn Soto's. We know Stephan Stern had nothing. He was driving the Cadillac, and the blue Honda Civic is what Jenn was driving before. So there's 3 cars involved. The blue Honda Civic, that was Jen's car that she was driving back in 2018, 2019, 2020. And then she's got a new 2022 Nissan. And then Stearns has I believe it's a Cadillac. All right. What do you think about Jenn now that it's all out there? What she says is, anything I think of her is not too kind. She is no better than the scum on the bottom of my shoe. Let this be clear that the ex-roommate CM wants nothing to do with Jenn, has no sympathy for her, no empathy, nothing. Okay, now that we know and now that it's come out, she says, I think she handed her daughter over on a silver platter, and that she is too a volatile human. I cannot fathom how someone could send their daughter to go to sleep with a man due to their own anxieties, especially when there are so many other bedrooms in that house and even a sofa. The selfishness led to this awful tragedy. Honestly, I'd like to see them both charged, as I would, CM, as I would. And I'm going to talk about that later today, how I'd like to see them both charged. I am absolutely disgusted with Jenn's statements and her behavior. There is no way you could not see signs of abuse happening for years, then be in denial about it. She may have not physically done anything, and that we don't know. I'm saying this for the record for you. We don't know that she didn't physically do anything, but in my opinion, she is guilty. And I agree with that 110%. Bring it on. Let's talk about it later. Regardless, there's blood on Jenn's hands. She literally sent her baby cub into a lion's den, and it makes CM so angry inside. Jenn Soto is a disgrace to the word mom, mother, or mommy. And I agree with that statement 2000%. If there was a 2000% to be had, folks. All right. Now, ADHD and autism, did that have anything to do with the parental alienation? And I want to know what CM thinks about that. She says, I suppose it would depend on the person or the parent and their intent. Again, we're alleging here, but it's definitely possible. If you have a child with special needs and you're the primary custodial parent, then you make those decisions for them. It could certainly make it difficult in custody cases. If I'm not mistaken, at the age of 14 in Florida, you can choose which parent you want to live with. I'm not sure what age in Florida. Okay, so not sure what age in Florida. I was saying Florida. Somebody could please put in the comments what age. Maddie was just turning 13. She had another year, if that's the case, and she could have went and lived with dad. Now I'm asking CM, the ex-roommate that lived with her for a year. Jenn did help out CM, and I have notes from the mom. Now, CM's mom is a regular follower of the channel. That's how I got hooked up with CM, and she says that to this day it affects CM, and so this is all affecting her now, and what she thinks about Jenn, even though Jenn helped her out back in the day with having her stay in a condo, and I don't know what the rent situation was. CM believes that Jenn needs to be charged. I'd rather see the death penalty taken off the table and both charged with life. They wouldn't last in there with those charges anyway, and she knows them both. I can honestly say I'd rather have my tax dollar go to both of them in prison than to allow her to walk freely. I wish they would do to them what they did to her. Again, we're saying they, I'm saying they, CM saying they, and Jenn said we a lot in these interviews. Don't mistake that, folks. Jenn said we so many times we can't even count it, okay? All right. Last question. Why do you think Jenn handed Maddie to Stirs on the silver platter like that? Like what could have possibly made her do that? Knowing Jenn, she says, this is a hard question to wrap my head around. I don't know why she did it, but I know she did do it. She's selfish. I just cannot understand how the F you can send your child to sleep with your boyfriend in another room. Who does that? Especially when there's so many other rooms and places to sleep. I cannot, in good faith, believe that she did not see the signs that she might have chosen to ignore. The fact that your child did not feel safe coming to speak to you about such things speaks volumes about the character. And I agree. It definitely speaks volumes about the character. I'm going to put these back up. I want to put these back up just so you can see the devil's hat while I'm getting another video ready. I kind of want to talk about this video is what the ex-roommate CM thinks, and well, what I think, and what I think lines up with that of CM. I wish CM had more time. And not only that, I wish CM was able to be on camera, but CM has a family, has 4 kids. One of them's autistic, and, is just doing justice for her family. She is a good mother, I'll tell you that much. And yeah, I really honestly don't know why Jenn did what she did. And we're going to talk about it later, and we're going to talk a little bit about it now, because yeah, that's eerie music to me as well. Did you hear that music? I'm not sure if you did, but all right, I am going to play a few minutes of this video, because, and I'll get it on the screen in a second, I want you to see what we think Jenn's culpability is in the eyes of the law with Court TV and Vinnie Paulton and his stage of people and an attorney, etc. So let's play that, and then we will be done with this video. I thank you for coming here today. This is very important that we focus on getting Jenn Soto charged in the murder of Madeline, as well as somehow an accomplice with the abuse charges. Sorry. Oh, you couldn't hear that, so that's good. I wasn't presenting the screen. I'm glad, because you didn't get to see that. Here we go. All right, let's do this.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
None of that is true, by the way. None of it. That's right. Madeline's mom, Jenn Soto, speaking to WFTV down in Orlando. None of that is true. Like, nope. It's all false. Now, was it based upon what Stephan Stearns was telling her? Did they together come up with the story? I don't know. But this.
And this is why she should be charged. First, let's charge her with the murder. And you're going to hear the charges that from a lawyer that she could be charged with. And then let's get her in on the essay part of it for handing her daughter over. But in legal terms, let's listen.
This story is completely devoid of any truth. Now, that's what she told the media. Let's get into what she is telling investigators, because I think that's a little bit more important, right? No attack of we in the media, but what you tell investigators carries a little more weight. So Jenn Soto completed a sworn written statement to the Orange County deputies to the following. Jenn Soto stated on 2/26/24 at approximately 0800 hours, she saw Madeline getting ready for school. 8 o'clock in the morning, she saw her daughter getting ready for school. 8 a.m. approximately, okay? Now, let's go through some of the other pieces of the timeline that investigators have in this case. Stearns is spotted at 8:10. A license plate reader captured Stephan's vehicle with Florida tag, driving away from the school at 8:10. This school is like 20 minutes away. It's about 20 minutes away or so. And he's driving away from the school back towards Kissimmee, where they live, at 8:10. Again, she said she saw Madeline getting ready for school at 8. What else do we know? The sheriff, the Orange County sheriff, spoke about a couple other pieces of the timeline. Take a listen.
We have video evidence that shows Stephan Stearns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26th. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster. At 8:19, we have evidence that shows Stephan Stearns returning to the complex, and Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead at that time.
And remember, Jenn was there the whole time, folks. Jenn was there at the apartment the night of the return of her birthday party when Stephan Stearns was there. She lied to the cops. We don't know the time frame. We're trying to narrow down the 11 hours, but she was there that morning. Stephan can't remember if she was there or getting blood work, but she was there the whole time.
Okay, and that jives with the 8:10, right? 8:10, you're driving back towards Kissimmee. 8:19, you get back to the complex, and Madeline Soto's in the car. So she had to be in the car when they left. So let's go back again. She's saying 8 o'clock in the morning, she saw her getting ready for school. 7:35, he was already tossing out her laptop and backpack at the dumpster, which is near the back exit of the complex, by the way. Okay, let me bring in my guests, special guest joining us in Orlando, Florida, America's judge, retired judge of the 9th Judicial Circuit, the Honorable Belvin Perry, and also joining us, the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Dave Arenberg, who, Judge, he's a Harvard guy, okay? Harvard smarty. So we got a lot of brains here tonight between these two. Unbelievable. All right, I'll begin with you, Judge.
This is going to give you the lowdown on Jennifer Soto and what she will be charged with, what she can be charged with, and what I believe, again, my belief, what she'll be charged with and what she can.
Judge has to go first, Dave, sorry. That statement that she provided, seeing her getting ready for school at approximately 8 o'clock, is that a problem for her in terms of potential charges or liability? If not, what else do investigators need to try to demonstrate that she is perhaps involved in a cover-up, perhaps involved in disposing of her daughter's body?
Vinny, unfortunately for her, as a friend of mine would say, the math is not mathing with that timeline. She's in deep trouble. She has verifiable lies that does not jive with.
Do you hear that? You cannot lie to the police and get away with that. She's in trouble and something's going to happen and she's going to get charged. And TikTok, Jen, it's coming.
The timeline. As they uncover more, she could be facing a multitude of charges in this particular case.
Let me ask you, Dave Arenberg, what do you see as potential avenues for prosecuting Jenn Soto? What would you need? What sort of evidence? And nothing related to the sex crimes. I want to deal with those separately. So just with the murder, the cover-up, the disposing of the remains.
Well, it's good to be with you, Vinny, and with the judge. I think the judge is right about the lying. You could possibly charge her with lying to law enforcement. But the real crime that I think she could be charged with, based on what we know now, is potential child neglect charges. Now, child abuse under Florida law under Section 827.03 includes child neglect, and neglect can be a second-degree felony punishable about the 15.
And we've been saying that the whole time, child neglect. Now we're hearing it from the judge. We're hearing it from a lawyer. We're hearing the real deal. This is not us just making things up and just throwing around terms.
Years in prison if a caregiver fails to provide a child with the necessary.
Wait, I'm going to go back because he said how many years in prison.
The law under Section 827.03 includes child neglect, and neglect can be a second-degree felony punishable about the 15 years in prison if a caregiver fails to provide a child with the necessary care, supervision, or services to maintain that child's physical and mental health. And if that neglect causes great bodily harm, which clearly occurred here, then it does rise to a second-degree felony. That's the crime that she could be charged with, depending on the facts. Now, she may say that she has no intent to commit such a crime. But remember, we're not talking about intentional child abuse. We're talking about child neglect. And by its own terms, neglect doesn't mean intent. It just means that you're neglectful. And I think when you encourage your daughter to go sleep in a bed with your boyfriend in another room when you're not even there, then I think that meets the standards for child neglect.
All right, let's get to that. Let's take a look at that, because this, again, is part of the statement that was made by Jenn Soto. She stated while they were together, they would either all sleep in the same bed or Madeline would sleep with her when Stephan wasn't there. When asked if it was normal that Stephan and Madeline sleep together without her being there, she said yes. Jenn Soto stated if she needed a good night's sleep due to her anxiety, she would ask them to sleep in a different bedroom. So, Judge, what would be necessary? How could you prove that she had any idea what was happening to her daughter? Would you need that to connect her to any of the, to connect Jenn Soto to any of the sex crimes? I think that's the biggest question people have. Can she be?
Again, back to the judge. These are all people that have legal history. A judge has a huge legal background in history. Listen. This is what's coming for Jenn, folks.
Connected to what Stephan Stearns was doing, or do you need something more here than just allowing it to happen or sending them into the other room?
The problem that the state is going to have is connecting her with the sex crimes. Currently now, based upon what has been given to the public, and that's out in the public domain, we can't say what actually occurred besides her sleeping in the same bed. Logically, one could conclude that, but that's not enough proof at this time. I suspect that's the reason why this case is still being investigated and that they're taking a very close look at the mother. That's just not normal for that young lady to sleep with this guy, particularly when you look at the breaks between the dates of the sexual assaults. You have a break, then you have the assaults renewed. There's a lot going on.
And remember, those breaks were breaks in the relationship. They were breaks with Stephan moving out. We can see his, we saw his Discord. Maybe it was a Discord. I'm sorry. Maybe it was, whatever. Sustanet. We saw his posts where they were broken up. We saw the times when he wasn't there. And I think a lot of those things were due to problems with how him and Jenn were interacting, but he was so fixated on Maddie, and then she would hand Maddie over to keep him around. So these guys are just making so much sense, and they're making it clear that our thoughts and our feelings are valid and that the law is going to step in soon.
That we don't know, and she holds the answers to those questions.
She does, and then the question is she no longer speaking? Where is she? What is she saying at this point? Okay, so the bottom line here, what I'm hearing from both of you is that false statements to police potentially, child neglect potentially. When we come back, let's talk about proving the case for the sexual abuse against Stephan Stearns.
All right, folks, we're hitting the 40-minute mark. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you so much. I want you to hear these answers, questions. CM talks back. Did Maddie have autism? Her thoughts now, and what will Jenn be charged with potentially? And please share this video. Like it. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. You're going to get more content. I'll be back today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I love each and every single one of you. And I'm out of here. Hopefully we can say really good comments to CM and get her to come back on and talk in her own voice. You could hear how absolutely angry she is about this case and how she now sees ex-roommate and ex-friend Jennifer Soto in a much different light. On that note, we are out of here, folks. And I don't know why I didn't do an intro, but I'm going to do an outro. Bye-bye.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?